Young and the Restless spoilers. Traci Abbott had always been a beacon of warmth and kindness, a woman who cherished her family above all else. So when Alan, a man she had once trusted, returned to Genoa City, she welcomed him with a smile. But beneath her cheerful demeanor, Traci couldn't shake the nagging suspicion that something was terribly wrong. The Alan she had known seemed different now, his actions shrouded in secrecy. Her instincts told her that he was no longer the man she once knew, and so, with a heavy heart, she decided to find out the truth on her own. Traci began her investigation quietly, carefully observing Alan's every move. She pretended to be oblivious, playing the role of the supportive friend while keeping her eyes and ears open. It wasn't long before her suspicions deepened. Alan was cautious, almost too cautious, and Traci couldn't help but notice the strange hours he kept, the hushed phone calls, and the locked doors. One evening, when Alan had left the house, Traci seized the opportunity to search his room. She knew it was risky, but her curiosity and concern for her family outweighed her fears. As she stepped into the room, a sense of foreboding washed over her. The room was meticulously organized, almost too perfect, but it was the wall that caught her attention. Plastered across it were photographs of Abby, her niece, in various locations around Genoa City. There were candid shots, some taken from a distance, others up close, as if Alan had been following her every move. Traci's heart raced as she realized the extent of his obsession. But it wasn't just the photographs that sent chills down her spine. Among the pictures were documents, detailed notes about Abby's daily routine, her upcoming wedding plans, and even information about her son, Dominic. The more Traci read, the more she realized that this wasn't just the work of a man who had a passing interest in Abby. This was the work of someone who was planning something sinister. And then, as she rifled through the papers, she found the final piece of the puzzle, a passport with a different name. The name on the passport was not Alan. It was Martin. Traci's blood ran cold as the realization dawned on her. Alan wasn't Alan at all. He was Martin, a man with a dangerous past and a hidden agenda. The friendly face she had welcomed into her home was nothing more than a mask, a disguise worn by a man who was planning something far more nefarious than she could have ever imagined. The truth hit Traci like a ton of bricks. Martin wasn't after Abby for herself. He was after her because of who she was, the daughter of Ashley Abbott. Traci's mind raced as she pieced together the plan. Martin intended to kidnap Abby, to use her as bait to lure Ashley back to Genoa City. Once Ashley was there, he would make his move, whatever that might be. Traci knew that Martin had a vendetta against Ashley, but she didn't know why, and that terrified her. Only thing as she slipped out of the room, Traci prayed that Martin hadn't noticed anything amiss. She needed to get to Abby, warn her before it was too late. But as she made her way downstairs, she couldn't shake the feeling that Martin was watching her, that he knew she had uncovered the truth. Traci's mind was racing, but she forced herself to stay calm. She couldn't afford to make a mistake now, not when so much was at stake. Meanwhile, Abby was blissfully unaware of the storm that was brewing around her. She was busy preparing for her wedding, excited about the future she was building with her fiancé and her son. She had no idea that she was being watched. Every move she made was being documented by a man who had sinister plans for her. The thought of danger was the furthest thing from her mind as she focused on the joy of her upcoming nuptial. But danger was closer than Abby realized. Martin was growing impatient, eager to set his plan in motion. He had been waiting for the perfect moment to strike, and now that moment was almost upon him. He knew that once he had Abby, Ashley would have no choice but to return to Genoa City. And when she did, he would finally have his revenge. Martin's obsession with Ashley ran deep, and he was willing to do whatever it took to get what he wanted, even if it meant hurting her daughter. As Traci rushed to warn Abby, she couldn't help but feel a sense of dread. What if she was too late? What if Martin had already made his move? The thought of Abby being taken, of her being hurt, was unbearable. Traci's hands shook as she dialed Abby's number, praying that her niece would pick up the phone. But as the phone rang, Traci's worst fears were realized. There was no answer. Abby's phone went straight to voicemail, and Traci's heart sank. She tried calling again, but there was still no response. Panic set in as Traci realized something was very wrong. She knew she had to find Abby before Martin did, but she didn't know where to start. In the meantime, Martin was finalizing his plans. He had been watching Abby closely, waiting for the right moment to strike. He knew that she would be alone that afternoon, and that was when he would make his move. The thought of taking Abby, of using her to get to Ashley, filled him with a twisted sense of satisfaction. He had waited a long time for this moment, and now it was finally here. But what Martin didn't know was that Traci was onto him. She knew his true identity, and she was determined to stop him. As Traci frantically searched for Abby, she couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. She knew that Martin was dangerous, and that he wouldn't hesitate to hurt Abby if it meant getting what he wanted. As the hours passed, Traci's fear for Abby grew. She knew she had to find her before it was too late, but every lead she followed seemed to hit a dead end. The thought of Abby being taken, of her being hurt,